A good morning, a good Sabbath from Biblical Lifestyle Center in Texarkana, USA, in the state of Texas as we are. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for letting me come into your home or your living room, coming into your car, coming into your smartphone or other device that you may be using to view this or to entertain. I pray that this will be a meaningful experience for you and for all of us. I pray that as we encounter the Sabbath day, this very special, beautiful seventh day of creation that was blessed and made holy and given to humankind to venerate, to bring forth the beauty of their own life from. As these things take place, I pray that you will be blessed, that you will be awakened, that your life will be given new focus and new direction, and that you are closer to your Creator and His design for you than you were ever before. So as we get ready to visit, I want to talk to you about a certain section of the Torah. This is what we do on the Sabbath. We connect with the divine. And we connect with the divine through the very words and the very story that He has given us to keep telling ourselves year after year, day after day, the time that prepares our hearts to deal with heavenly things, with wisdom, with kindness, with mercy, with love, with the things that are emanating from the heavens to the earth. And that is done through the medium of the Torah. And we study the Torah every week on Shabbat. We actually study it every day, but nevertheless we get together and we meditate on it and talk about it and let it permeate our spirits on the seventh day, the Sabbath. The Parsha, the section, the subdivision of the Torah that we will visit about today, we get a chance to connect with this divine revelation, is Parsha Beshalach, or some call it Beshalach, but the idea is it's Exodus chapter 13, verse 17 through Exodus 17, verse 16. And it takes us all the way up from leaving Egypt all the way to reaching Mount Sinai and the events that will take place after this part in the book of Exodus and all of the book of Leviticus and part of the book of Numbers. The next long series of time will all be the great Sinaitic revelation stream. So before we get to that, we have the first wilderness. We'll have a second wilderness after we leave Sinai, and that'll be the second part of the book of Numbers into the book of Deuteronomy. But that second wilderness is going to be, we'll have the book we'll have the Sinaitic revelation to go on. Before this, we just have the Horeb burning bush and then the evidences of the signs. Now we're in the first wilderness. This is our beginning. This is our point of origin in our covenant relationship and our covenant walk. Here we are. So welcome to this Parsha Beshalach, installment number 4, or episode number 4. Of the Great Nation Formation Chronicles of Torah. These are the essential lessons we need to learn from walking with the Holy One, following Him through the first wilderness that leads us to Sinai. The Bnei Israel, of the Great Nation Building Chronicles, tell us it's time to join a great movement, not a movement of men on the earth. A great movement that is being orchestrated from heaven. The Holy One is building, preparing, releasing a holy nation upon the earth, a great holy nation of the seed of Abraham, a counterculture to the culture and to the ethnicities and the nations and the governments and the ways of thinking, the philosophies and the ideologies of this world. There is a great counterculture being awakened from heaven, and these are the chronicles of how that development takes place, the disciplines of the heavens and the wisdom, and yet the passion, the fire, the romance of this movement as he begins to awaken the eternal, the supernatural, the love of the Holy One, that our Creator, in us, and He reciprocates that love back to us and just causes it to grow. Well, this is the fourth episode, as I said, the fourth installment of the Great Nation Building Chronicles, the great counterculture calling forth of the Torah, and we call this Beshalach, which is a Hebrew phrase which means in connection with the expulsion. the sending out, in connection with the sending out. So you can get a picture just by looking at the name of this parsha, the way it's called by the ancients, is to understand this is about when we left Egypt and before we got to anywhere significant as far as the life-changing Sinai. We're going to have lessons to learn, to deprogram, to disentangle from Egypt during our period of time, and to connect with the heavenlies in ways that cause us to shake off the foul odor, the stench, the toxicity, the noxiousness of the cultures of this world. Actually, there's a very fascinating thing this week. This is our challenge this week is going to be to decide whose song and melody from the what throne room, whose song and whose melody from which throne room will we sing and dance to? Will we get caught up in the rhythm of? Will we be caught up in the rhythm of heaven's throne room and the great King of glory, the one who created us, the one who loves us, the one who loves his creation and attends and pillars? Or will we be caught up in the song and the melody emanating from the throne of ourself, our own self-will, our own physical appetites, urges, and desires? Or from the ethnicities and the cultures and the ideologies we tend to associate with, or be under the thumb of, if we may feel like? Whose song will we sing? Whose melody will we get up and dance to? And whose song and melody will we choose to learn to politely decline? Those are our questions. Before I get too deep into the parsha, before we get a chance to really dig into the words, I want to kind of warn you, keep you in advance notice of some important covenant calendar milestones that are coming up. There's a 10-week period that begins today, actually, that is one of the most significant. It's in the northern hemisphere, it's the spring seed time revelation period, and then there in the southern hemisphere, it's this autumnal revelation period. Whichever place you're in, and I welcome all those from southern hemisphere friends, New Zealand, Australia, Philippines, and Tasmania, and all the different locations in South Africa, and all those different countries in the South and South America. But wherever you are, there is a season happening. There's a change in the season beginning, and this is our next 10 weeks will be a growth season and a blooming season in the northern hemisphere. And so this is part of the creation talking to us, speaking to us, saying, as it is with the creation in your area, so it is to you. You will have now in the northern hemisphere in the United States where I live, are seeing the spring flowers come forth of the daffodils and the jonquils. We're seeing the spring trees begin to bud out, the almond and the pear and the fruit trees and the different things. Now in the southern hemisphere, you may be seeing things like chrysanthemums and camellias and different things that are. But you see, there's a blooming. This is a powerful season of life bursting forth. And so these next 10 weeks that we will look at are not just going to be governed by what you see in the news. To the contrary, they'll be governed by the Creator's plan. The first of this, there are actually 7 events on the calendar that take place during these 10 weeks. The first event is today. It is called Shabbat Shirah, the season or the Sabbath of song. This is because, primarily, I suppose, if you want to look at it, because in this parsha we have the Song of the Sea. So the Shirah, the song of the Hebrew people, the great national anthem that is part of our birthing process of connecting with this great national anthem. A horse and his rider he is drawn into the sea. I will sing unto the Holy One, Ashira Ladonai. For he has exalted himself exponentially. Well, that's the idea. But this is more than just about the Song of the Sea being part of our Torah studies this week. Shabbat Shirah is an awakening of a season of singing. Cue the Song of Songs symphony in your heart. Every time we get to Shabbat Shirah, it awakens in us, there's this cry to come to the Song of Solomon, the Song of Songs. Shirim, and this let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth. And then he sings back, and we sing, draw me after you, and let us run together. And he sings back, arise, my love, come away with me. And these are the things of the season. And so there will be a 10-week period of focusing intently on the Song of the Songs leading into Passover and Hag Hamatzah. So the first of the 7 important calendar events in this 10-week period that begin today is Shabbat Shirah. Awaken. What song are you listening to? What song will you hear? Second of the 7 important calendar events it's going to take place Sunday night, a night and a half ago, a day and a half from now, on the 5th of February at sundown. 15 Shabbat. It's called in Hebrew Tu B'Shabbat, which means the 15th day of the month of the moon cycle of Shabbat, which is where we are at this particular stage. And this is often called the New Year of Trees, because what happens is in creation, the trees actually the sap actually begins to run fully and return after a season of dormancy, or in the southern hemisphere, to do the opposite, to retreat from the tree as the light begins to diminish and as the cool air begins to hit, the sap of the tree begins to go down. Fruit trees go down to the root. Well, whichever hemisphere you're in, something's happening. The sap is moving. And Tu B'Shabbat is sort of the key factor that kicks it off into high gear, whichever way it goes. And then, so that's Sunday night. And then Rosh Chodesh Adar, the new moon of the moon cycle of Adar, the final moon cycle of the biblical year, or the covenant year, the 6th moon cycle of the creation year that began with the creation song. This time, it would begin Tuesday, February 21st at sundown. And the moon cycle of Adar is analogous to the moon cycle of Elul, the 6th of the biblical calendar. That happens in the fall. And the idea is it's a 30-day period, or a moon cycle of intense preparation. In the spring, in Adar, this moon cycle of Adar is a time to arise, to awaken, and to arise, and to become inspired, and to find and reconnect with the Holy One. And then in Elul, in the time of the fall, it is to return to that passion that we had early in the year. Without the rising and the awakening of Adar, the returning in Elul, we don't know where we're returning to and what we're returning to and what we're exposed to expose. So after Shabbat Shirah, after Tu B'Shabbat, after Rosh Chodesh Adar, the next thing is on the calendar is Purim, and that's the 14th of the month of Adar, the moon cycle of Adar, right before the full moon, or right at the full moon. But this year it's the 6th day of March at sundown, and going on the next day. And this is a time to realize we're here for such a time as this. We repeat the wordings of the book of Esther, or Hadassah, and we understand that even now we are here for such a time as this. And so this idea of this is our moment, this is our time, begins to hit us about that time. And then we get to Rosh Chodesh Nisan, the new moon for the first biblical month, the month of Aviv, the month when the barley's in the field in the northern hemisphere. And this is our new beginning season. We were here for such a time as this, we learned. And now, what is it we're here for? We're going to start focusing intently on where we go. And this begins this year, Wednesday, the 22nd of March at sundown. And then we get the 6th of the different festivals, the times that are in this next 10 weeks. That's Passover, Pesach, the evening, the air of celebration where we remember what took place. We teach our children, tell our children, our children's children around the table what took place and how we became a people. That begins on Wednesday, the 5th day of April this year, and continues for that evening. And then the 7th and the final, the conclusory part, it actually really just introduces a 50-day period and into Pentecost. But the main thing is there's 7 days of Hag HaMatzah, eating and enjoying and remembering the matzah, the bread of our affliction, and yet the bread of our freedom. It begins the 15th day of Nisan. It begins right after Passover concludes and goes for 7 days. Well, these 7 festivals, these 7 important times, Shabbat Shirah, our season of singing is upon us. I pray that you will be receiving a melody within your heart. That if you play an instrument, or you ever tried to play an instrument, if you ever want to play an instrument and you have one somewhere, you'll pick it up. I pray that there will be a song awaken in your heart. That will be words flow from heaven down into your heart. I'm not praying you write some hit music, hit number that you can sell on the radio. I'm praying that you will connect with the very rhythms of heaven. You see, in the courts of heaven, communication is not primarily effectuated through speech, through words like we talked right now. Instead, in the courts of heaven, communication is primarily accomplished through shirim, through songs. If you read the book of Revelation, you start reading through from beginning 4 and 5, chapters 4 and 5 and on, you find there's a song after song after song. The living creatures sing their song. The 24 elders sing their song. The cherubim sing their song. The seraphim sing their song. The angels sing their songs. The multitudes around the throne sing their songs. Why? They all sing because song communicates at a deeper level than human conversations or oratory or rhetoric. Song awakened within the spirit communicates at a level more spiritual than any form of discourse. So whenever heaven and earth align, and this is a season for that to take place, and I pray it takes place for you, heaven and earth over you align. Whenever heaven and earth align, it is to be expected, it is to be normal that what will break forth on earth will be a new song, a new fresh song. A song, maybe a song of eternity, but a song that is new to you. And if you can accept it, beloved, this is why in Hebrew practice, blessings are not merely spoken, but sung. This is the idea of the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. You see, it's sung, and there's a rhythm, and there's something in the singing, there's something in the melody that awakens the spirit, goes way beyond what I could say if I just said Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. That's a powerful thing, but the song is much more. There's a special power of shirim. The Holy One created it. As a matter of fact, he began the Torah with a song. I don't know if you realize it, but in Hebrew, the creation story is a song. It's a song of creation. And it comes out with rhythm, with the repeated phrases, with rhyme. It's just beautifully choreographed. It's a special power. And so he began communication with mankind, with earth, with creation through the song. And that's the way he does things. Because singing and songs have ability to impact us and reprogram our brains and awaken our spirituality in ways that nothing else does. No other form of communication, verbal or nonverbal, does. You think about things. Think about a lullaby. Think about the alphabet song. Think about the national anthem of wherever you live. Think about the alma mater of the school you went to, if you did. Think about the musicals that you remember, from My Fair Lady to the Sound of Music, or anything else you might say. Or for this week, you might think of the Disney musical Prince of Egypt. But whatever you may be thinking about, understand that song touches you in ways that words cannot, and that's the power of it. Singing has that ability to do that to us. Human brains are hardwired to respond to song. Now, this is good if we are connecting to the songs of heaven. This is dangerous if we're connecting to the songs of the flesh, the songs of the earth, the songs of the nations, the songs of the ethnicity that we're in, the songs of the culture that we follow, the songs of humankind. Which song will we connect to? Human brains are hardwired to respond to one song or another, or one series of songs. It's hard to be singing two songs at the same time. As the psalmist in Psalm 137 said, how can I sing the Holy One's song in a foreign land? Well, that's the key. So learn to keep singing the song of the Holy One, no matter what other people around you are singing, to keep the melody, to keep the rhythm, to keep the vocabulary, to keep the words flowing from heaven. The song that you've been given to sing, rather than the song that the world around you wants you to sing or seems to impose upon you to sing. Okay. Song activates the part of the brain that signals to us that the subject in question is valuable, desirable, or important. It pounds your flesh with the understanding, with the declaration that what is being sung about is important. Therefore, it will be remembered. It's stuck into the valley of song in the human brain. And when we hear a song that attaches to us, begins to attach in our valley of song in our brains release dopamine. It actually gives us a little bit of a gentle high, as some people might find. It's not a chemical high from the standpoint of external chemicals. It is designed. We're designed to experience a feeling of engagement that we don't have, a level of consciousness that we haven't had. Songs are given to us to do that, and they will do it one way or the other, beloved, one way or the other. So songs can help us and cause us to experience emotion and affection at a level that mere conversation, even the most gifted oratory, cannot. But they will also bind us to whatever it is we are considering important. They are creating a soul tie with whatever it is we hear people singing about or we ourselves are singing about. Be careful what songs you sing. All right, today, in today's Torah study, we will begin to let the symphonic sounds of heaven, the words, the vocabulary, the rhythm, the beat, the melody, begin to invade and embed themselves in us, in our world, and to reverberate from us, out of our emanating, reverberating hearts into the world and the earth's atmosphere. So, beloved, may refrains of praise and adulations that are being sung around the throne of heaven by cherubim, seraphim, elders, angels, and multitudes of the heavenly host be heard bursting forth from the nations. Be heard bursting forth from your heart, from your mouth, from your facial expressions, from your being. May you become a human instrument for the praise of the Holy One. See, every great nation needs a truly great, indeed epic song to sing. An inspiring anthem. An anthem that brings about a sense of national identity and valuing the identity. As I said, the song, whatever you sing about, becomes, your spirit hears that it's important. So it becomes an inspiring anthem needs to be given to us of national identity, to identify ourselves and attach ourselves to the great nation that we're part of. And to generation transcending testimony. It goes beyond the things that we would just think about off the top of our head or out of our random access memory, but to the deeper levels of who we really are, the generation transcending testimony that we have to give. So welcome, one and all, to the parsha of our song. And as the heavenly choreography unfolds, and as waves of the purest tribute that any representatives of mankind have ever uttered in relation to their Creator flow from the lips of ordinary men, women, and children, may we all hear the true tone of heaven, the true tone of the sounds and the words and the atmosphere and the vocabulary of heaven. May that true tone find expression. May it find a home in your heart and in your mind and in your will and your spirit, and may it find expression in your actions and your behavior as well as your words. May this become to you the season of Tehillah, of divinely inspired psalmistry, when you hear the sounds of heaven and you speak those sounds and the vocabulary that goes with them. The great love song. This is actually a song of love between the Creator and His creation, between the creation and their Creator. This great love song is to flow in our DNA forever. And I'm talking about the Song of the Sea, but I'm talking about the entire song of this season. The Song of Solomon, the Song of David, the Song of Moshe, the Song of Miriam, the Magnificat. These are songs and the songs of Revelation. May these all flow in us. May we receive heaven's mesmerizing meter, its captivating melody, its lilting verse, its soaring chorus, and its immortal heavenly courts, vocabulary that changes everything. And at last, may we find a national, as we begin our great nation building, may we attach ourselves to a kingdom worthy. Hallelujah. You've always wanted a hallelujah to sing. May we learn our hallelujah. Ashir al Adonai, I will sing unto the Holy One. Ki ga'og for he is exalted exponentially. Sus verokevo, horse and his rider, Rama v'yam, he drew into the sea. Azir v'zimro Yah, Yah is my strength and my song, Yehili li Yeshua. Now he has become my Yeshua. Mikamoka ba'elim Eronai. Who is like you, Holy One among the gods? Mikamoka ne'edar b'kodesh. Who is like you, glorious in holiness? Nora tehilot osef ele. Awesome in praises. Doing wonders. Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. The Holy One, may you reign forever and ever. Well, I'm going to go on into our call to worship. As long as we're singing, now you understand why we sing the blessing and why we don't just speak it and why it is designed to do something deeper than the actual words themselves could ever do in your mind. May you sing the Baraku with me if you know it. May it arise from your heart. Otherwise, may you listen and may it instill itself into your spirit. Baraku Adonai Hamvorach. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Vayed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amin V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah. Now may you open our eyes, O Holy One, that we may see wondrous things in your Torah. For we are but strangers in the earth, so do not hide your commandments from us. Where we are in Torah is that we've left Egypt. Last week, at the end of the Parsha Bo, he gave us a Passover script to recite to our children. And these are some of the last words, not exactly the last words. The Holy One said, when your son asks you in time to come, saying, what is this? You are to say to him, here's our script. By strength of hand the Holy One brought us out of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. And when Pharaoh was stubborn about letting us go, the Holy One slew all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both the firstborn of man and the firstborn of beast. And that is why I present all the males that open the womb to the Holy One. But all the firstborn of my sons I redeem. That was Exodus 13, 14 through 15. And then came the exact final words of Bo, the hints of what is to come for this week. And these words are to be a sign upon your hands. And are to be bound as a lens through which your eyes process everything you see. Anu Adonai Mitzrayim, for with a strong hand the Holy One delivered you from the land of narrowness and straits and tightness. Exodus 13:16. We are now up to date. The opening lines of Parsha Beshalach. Again, I will say them in Hebrew, that this tone, this voice begin to flow into your spirits, and that I'll give you an English translation so that your mind can catch up a little bit with what you just heard. And when Pharaoh cast out or expelled the people, the Eternal One did not lead them on the way that takes them to the land of the Philistines, even though that would have been close. For the Holy One said, by way of his own self-talk, Ha'am birotam milchama. The people will encounter warfare, v'shavu mitzrayma, and they will turn back to Egypt. V'yasev Elohim et ha'am. So God circuitously routed the people, derek hamidbar yamsuf, around by the desert of the Sea of Reeds. V'chamushim alu me'eretz Mitzrayim. And B'nai went up, Hamashim. I won't even try to translate that yet. And B'nai Israel went up Hamashim from the land of Egypt. Vayikach Moshe erasmot Yosef imo. And Moshe took took the bones of Joseph with him. Oh, this is so important. Ki hashba hashibiyah et bnei Israel. And he placed the children of Israel under a solemn oath, or he had placed the children of Israel under a solemn oath. Le'emor pachod yifkod Elohim, saying, the Holy One, the Eternal One will surely visit you. Echem ve'ha'alichem et atzmote mizeh ichem. And you are to cause my bones to rise up from here with you. Vayisa'u mi Sukkot, and so they lifted up from Sukkot. Vayachanu be'etam bikzeh hamidbar, and they camped at Etam, at the border or the fringe of the wilderness. This is the beginning of our parsha. This is the message. Bikzeh hamidbar, bikzeh, at the fringe, at the outside, at the outer side of the wilderness. Oh, beloved, can you see there's something coming? We're about to enter into the first wilderness phase. Oh, but there's more to learn before that. The words that start the parsha were Vayehi Beshalach, or Beshalach. Vayehi, and it came to pass, or it occurred, that in the sending out, or in the expulsion. In Beshalach, in this parsha, we will face our first challenges as free men. Heretofore, we have been slaves. Heretofore, we have had to do whatever our slave masters, our taskmasters, told us to do. Heretofore, we've had to do the will of the pharaohs that we served. But we are free men. You are free. You have been set free. Whether you go is your issue. The Midrash says that Hamashim, which is that word I didn't pronounce or didn't translate for you, means 1/5, which means that of all the people, all the Hebrews who were enslaved in Egypt, only 1/5, 20%, came out. Well, whether you believe that or whatever you believe, now here's the issue. You have a choice. Will you come out of the cultures, the ethnocentric mindsets, the ideologies, the philosophies, the political struggles, the anger, the angst, the selfishness, the self-will, the fleshly obsessions of this world, the occult ways of this world, or will you stay? Will you be among the 4/5, the 80%, that just said, I can't leave, I can't let go? In Beshalach, we will face our first challenges as free men. Are you ready for your free man challenge? We will learn what it feels like if we go, what it feels like to have no social structure, no job, no income, no groceries, no hospitals, no doctors, no one who can compel us to do anything that we don't want to do or feel we're supposed to do. But also, what we will learn is we will have no police force, no army to protect us, no one to protect us from thieves, from slick-talking swindlers, from highwaymen, from bands of murdering, raping, and pillaging raiders. No one to protect us, but no human being to protect us at least. No organization, no institution to guide us or direct us. We will be free. That has its consequences. That has its challenges. We will get a taste of what it looks and feels like in this season upcoming, to have to rely upon the Holy One, our God, our Redeemer, for everything. Li Yeshua. He will become to us our Yeshua, our everything, our deliverer, our provider, our Redeemer, our Savior, all these things. We will get a taste of what it looks like to feel and feels like to have to rely upon the Holy One for everything. To forsake compasses and maps and conventional thinking, to think outside the box, way outside the box from the thoughts of heaven, and to abandon established roadways and ways of doing things and just follow the Holy One wherever he leads and learn to love it. Road trip on. The desert looms before us. We are out of Egypt. We are free men. Where do we go now? There are scheduled stops and protocols. We have a choreographed route to follow. Someone, the Holy One, has designed our pathway, and he's designed it strategically so that we will learn the lessons we need to know for the next journey at the preceding place we stop. Next part of the journey. So, scheduled stops, scheduled protocols. Here's how it starts. V'yasa'u, and so they took up their journey. Mi Sukkot, from Sukkot, the place where we ate our matzah and where we've met and conversed with and shared our meal with the mixed multitude and met all these different people from all the different nations that were coming out with us. Ve'yachanu Etam, and they encamped at Etam, at the edge of the desert, Bitseh Hamidbar. And the Holy One, then it says, went before them by day in a pillar of cloud. We now connected to the pillar that we didn't see until we got to Etam. The Holy One went before them by day in a pillar of cloud to lead the way, and by night in a pillar of fire, Ish, to give them light, so as to allow them to go by day and by night. And he did not take away the pillar of cloud by day or the pillar of fire by night from before the people. Oh, beloved, we have a story to tell. We have a journey to take. We have a long way to go, but we have so many things to learn along the way. We have a story to tell that is the greatest story of the earth. This is a great song to sing. The ultimate road trip of mankind is on. The massive, indeed epic exodus from Egypt has just occurred, and it is done. A mixed crowd of migrants, estimated 2 or 3 million strong, has crossed over the continental divide between Africa and Asia. We have set up our temporary camp at the edge of the desert in Sukkot, and we had so many sweet memories there. We discussed it, we talked about it, we shared bread over it, and we remembered the ones that were left behind. And now we look ahead, and there are so many unknowns. The desert looks to be horribly hot in the day, and yet bone-chilling cold at night. We have to wonder, do we have the right clothing? Do we have the right covering? Do we have the right motivation even? How there are no roads on the route that we're going. Each landmark that we encounter will present us with a potential route selection controversy. Should we go right? Should we go left? Should we go straight? Should we turn around and go back? What are these? Every landmark that we encounter will present us with these kinds of controversies and questions. Oh, and water. Where will we get water? Where will we get food? How will we take care of sanitation? What will happen if we get sunburn? What about contagious disease protocols with this great mass of people so close together in such close quarters? These are going to be major issues, right? Vulnerability. Look around us. What if an armed band of raiders came, or an army of another nation came? What if roving predators of the desert started picking us off one by one? These things had to be weighing on our mind. So we have this week's reorientation briefing. Beshalach. In connection with the expulsion, what will we do? It's about making peace with not being in control. This is harder for some people than others, but it's hard for everybody. How do you make shalom, make peace with not being in control of things around you? And how do you slowly grow and increasingly flow in the important things of kingdom life, which were not so important in Egyptian slavery or in Western culture? The important things like this: Yirat Adonai, the fear, the reverence, the awe of the Holy One. Consciousness of who he is, seeing that he's with us. Yirat Adonai, this consciousness of who he is. We need to slowly grow and increasingly flow in that, and that will help us to make peace with not being in control. Shema, responsiveness. We need to learn to vibrate, to radiate with the same sounds that we're hearing from heaven. The Shema, responsiveness, where our being responds to him, not to the words of men, not to the words of political leaders or ideologues or demagogues, not to the words of media, but instead respond to the voice of the Holy One, using his tone, his vocabulary, his rhythm of what he speaks, and letting that energize and empower us deep into our souls and outwardly into our lives. Yirat Adonai, Shema, responsiveness, more. Relational maturity and a sense of security. And as we grow and develop a history with the Holy One leading us, we will develop a maturity. It takes a while to be confident that he is actually who he says he is and will do what he says he will do. But as that happens, we mature in that faith and that emunah, and we get more secure in who we are and what our calling is. That helps us develop the sense of shalom, the sense of peace, the sense of well-being, of wellness, of wholeness, of fullness, that we can then begin to operate in our plan. That helps us to develop emunah, this idea that we know, we are conscious of who he is, and we carry that presence with us, and that allows us to do things that we couldn't normally even imagine doing. And then that leads us to wisdom, to chokmah, to walk in wisdom rather than walking in folly or walking in vanity, and bina, understanding, to walk in that kind of a sense of what impact we are really having, as opposed to just responding in the flesh to how we feel or think. Well, it is time to learn to trust the power of our covenant partner's witness, to trust the power of his witness, and to tune into the wells of energy and strength and life that witness provides. Welcome to the desert where he met Avraham, where he took Avraham and spent those years. Yitzhak, Yaakov, Yosef. The desert is where we learn. The wilderness is where we learn that the creator of the universe has developed for us the desert as an emunah development obstacle course. This is a course he's planned for us. And this portion is arranged for us to study so that we can know what to deal with. It helps us to learn to face our deepest fears. If we're controlled by our fears, we will not be able to emanate his light. It causes us, this portion will help us to own up to our insecurities and our canary in the coal mine visibility and vulnerability. We're the canary in the coal mine. That's why we're here on earth. This is for such a time as this. We're here to be that canary in the coal mine. That means that we know when the toxicity is so strong. We reveal to the world where the toxicity of the world is, of how toxic it is. They begin to hate us. They begin to do things to us, and we begin to suffer that kind of consequences. But yet we remain who we are. We continue to sing the song of the canary in the coal mine. We sing as long as we can. We learn to trust our bridegroom king and not our own strength or wits or education or trust in medicine or trust in science or trust in philosophy or trust in ideology or trust in government. We learn to trust in our bridegroom king. Some may trust in horses, some in chariots, but we will trust in the name of our Holy One King. We trust in him for every area of human need. Now it takes a while to learn that process. Learn that he is indeed who he says he is and will do what he says he will do. We learn to let him lead us and guide us and counsel us and walk with us through every obstacle that the world throws before us. Because he is ordained for those obstacles to be there to teach us the important lessons of the wilderness. We have to learn to walk with him through every challenge, to walk with him as we endure every insult and suffer every trauma, and he carries the burden of those things with him. We are being trained, you see, in Zedek Umishpat. Those are the words that he said that I have called Avram. I've known Avram that he may walk in Zedek Umishpat. Justice and righteousness, it says in English, but oh my goodness, the Hebrew, the Zedek, the straightness, the way of building something, the way that you can build upon a foundation. Mishpat, the idea of wisdom flowing out of you to know how to make things right, to make things good, to make things productive, to make things fruitful, and how to walk in the Holy One's ways. We're being schooled how to raise families. Well, this whole idea of the wilderness is to learn it, teach us how to raise our own families and build our communities and our culture free of the bondage and the oppression and the perversion and the occult manipulation of all the governments and all the institutions of this world. Oh, beloved, hear this call to freedom. This is not only our season of singing, it's our season of freedom. The great Avrahamic nation is being built upon two pillars. You get these right. The first pillar of these two is intimate knowledge of and relationship, romantic involvement with the Creator. I don't mean some tawdry thing. I'm talking about the deep level of communication upon heart-to-heart communication. Intimate knowledge of and relationship with the Creator is the first pillar. If we don't have that, nothing else matters. The second pillar, though, building upon the intimate knowledge of and relationship with the Creator, the second pillar of great nationhood, the great Avrahamic nation, the great culture, counterculture, is co-laboring with the Creator, aligning with him, going along with him, doing what he's doing, seeing what he's doing and doing what he's doing, seeing the bigger picture and staying with it, co-laboring with him according to his timing and his methods, his protocols, his directions, and doing so in a way that humbly serves, not demands things from mankind as a species, and creation as an ecosystem. All right, if we are to live in the freedom of our calling, we must face and overcome and deal with our deepest fears. I'm sorry, I wish it was a better way. This is the best way. Because if we carry those fears, we will not be able to do what we're called to do. So he's going to bring us face to face with some of our greatest fears. There will be war. There will be hunger. There will be thirst. There will be a sense of vulnerability and weakness. These are the parts of our experience we need to learn to deal with. We will face creatures of the desert. We will face raiders of the desert. And we will be required to rely upon the Holy One to get us through this. By coming face to face with what we fear most, we can be trained to lean into and trust the Holy One as our very present help in time of trouble. Is he your very present help in time of trouble, or is he just someone you believe in theoretically, theologically? Or is he very, very real? His witness is what carries you through the day. This is the level of shifting in this season of singing and the season of freedom. We are learning that he is a very present help in time of trouble. And if we don't learn that, we will cower before intimidators. We will succumb to seducers. We will accept enslavement as our lot and think we're just born to this and we have to deal with it. Well, not only do we need a captivating story to tell our children as we go through this freedom adventure, we need a song. We need a rousing anthem. A melody and a vocabulary and a rhythm and a meter that resounds and inspires across all ages and all generations and all ethnicities and all genders and all cultures and all national boundary lines, and binds us together and inspires us to go and do that which is necessary and that which the kingdom calls for, that which is our mission and our purpose, as opposed to being caught up in the drama of this world and its ideas and its ideologies and its morality and its justice movements. And then we get to one thing more. What is the one more thing? Well, beloved, if we're going to be who we are called to be, if we're going to become who we are called to become, the great nation, the servant nation, we need to know how to hunger for and thirst for and seek and Shema and Shemar and Asa, the divine direction of his words and his methods. Do not hide your commandments from us, we might say. And we need to embrace his protocols of divine discipline, to follow his methods, to follow his ways, as opposed to doing it our way. We need to get in line, in tune, in alignment with him. We need to learn his secrets of overcoming both prisms of thought and emotion and schisms between human beings. We have both a personal situation we learn to follow and trust in him, and we learn socially not to react the way the rest of the world reacts. So this is our parsha of disconnecting from the things of Egypt, but also from the things of all the cultures of this world. Disconnecting from the thoughts and the words and the attitudes and the approaches and the animosities and the ancient wounds and scars and the arrogances. Disorienting from that and being awakened to who we really are. We need to unlearn what we thought we knew, all the things that we don't know, or the things that we think we know that we don't know. Most about the Holy One, about life, about ourselves. These things we have to unlearn. This is our season. As we sing, as the melodies of heaven begin to flow into our hearts, as we rejoice and we contemplate our freedom, we learn what we didn't know, and we learn what we thought we knew is not what is really there. We learn to unleaven. We learn to take the leaven, the unnatural, the foreign, out of our thought processes and let instead our thought processes, our emotions, become what is normal and healthy and appropriate for us as our King has designed it. We learn to recalculate what life is and what life is not about. Whose voice is authoritative and who should we listen to, and whose we should ignore. What song we should sing and what song we should sit out. And we need to learn to realign our allegiances and redefine our truth and repledge our troth. Trading trust in horses and chariots for the trust in the Holy One. Hey, look, this is not going to be easy as the world thinks of it. It is very possible that some of us, indeed, perhaps a lot of us, will quit along the way. We'll just give up along the way. Many will die in this desert and never reach the promised land. But even if that happens, of this we are confident. Death in the company of our kinsmen, in the place where the rhythms and the vocabulary and the song of heavens is being sung over our hearts, en route to our own land of promise and the place from which we will launch the kingdom invasion of the earth. That is far better than spending another minute enslaved by that sadistic madman the world calls Pharaoh, or whatever leader you may be in your culture. We do know that, don't we? We do know it's better to die in the presence of our calling and our purpose and our King than it is to live another day in slavery. It's the season of our freedom. It's time to sing Zion. Alert, however, tests are coming. Breaking free of Pharaoh's house of occult horrors, like we did last week, opens up the possibilities of many things happening. We will have to deal with a lot of issues. We need so many things as we look across at that desert, across Metan. Things that the desert watersheds like Shur and Sin and Paran and all the desert watersheds we're going to see, they can never provide to us. We need many things. We need guidance. We need to know which way we should turn and which way we should go. Now, if you want to, I want to tell you a bunch of things that I think the Holy One is telling us we need before we set off in the desert. Then I want to refer you to the teachings of Yeshua as he began, the teachings of our master rabbi, when he began to call forth his people, his disciples. So the first thing we need is guidance, which way we should turn, which way we should go. Remember what the first words of the Holy One through Yeshua were: come, follow me. We also, in addition to guidance, need a sense of destination and purpose, a place knowing where we're going, knowing what is important. And so what were the words of Yeshua in this regard? In the Sermon on the Mount, seek ye first, what? The kingdom of heaven. And we have a sense of purpose. That we need that sense of purpose to understand how we can overcome the things that are thrown at us. And the Holy One, through Yeshua, gave us this word: you are the light of the world. This is your mission. This is your purpose. And you are the salt of the earth. We see these two essential purposes in us. We see how this was done at the time of the Exodus, and now it's being repeated. The process is being repeated. The same message from Messiah, Yeshua, our Rabbi. The third thing, beyond guidance and a sense of destination and a sense of purpose, that we were going to need as we look out in the desert is we're going to need focus. We need to have an emphasis, a thing to think about and work on. What did the Holy One say? Through Yeshua. That they may see your good works are the focus. To glorify your Father in heaven. Works that glorify your Father in heaven. Our co-laboring. This engagement with the plan and the strategies and the directions and the disciplines of the Father. Good works, glorifying your Father in heaven. That will be our focus. We need to understand that we're going to need food. And what did Yeshua say? Do not ask what we will eat. We're going to need water, he said. Do not ask what you will drink. We're going to need protection from the elements. He says, do not ask what you will wear. And he's going to talk about how the fact that no, we don't have a place to lay our head. Now, you see how Yeshua is just following the pattern of what was laid out before us at the edge of the wilderness. We're going to need defense from enemy attacks. Yeshua is going to teach us do not fear what men can do to you. We're going to need a radical deprogramming and reprogramming. Connecting from the world's mindset and its material ideas and its political theories, and reprogramming to the plan and the strategies of heaven. And Yeshua is going to teach us, but become perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect. Tamam, become at shalom, even as your Father in heaven is. So he's going to teach us in the next few days or the next few moments or the next few time. He's going to teach us secrets of learning to respond to his divine shepherding. as Yeshua would teach his disciples how to follow him and how to do all these things we just talked about and disconnect and disorient from the world's viewpoint, so it is with what he's going to do with us in the desert. He's going to give us the pillar of fire and cloud. He's going to give us the straight and narrow road. He's going to give us the Yeshua Adonai, the deliverance. He's going to show us Yeshua Adonai. He's going to show us the sweetening agency of the tree of life. The Torah is a tree of life to those who seek her. Mishpat. He's going to teach us an ordinance and a judgment. He's going to show us the process of learning, bit by bit, the process of his ways and his disciplines. He's going to give us flesh of animals at evening, the quail. He's going to give us bread, the manna, at morning. He's going to give us, teaching us and remind us that we are people to enjoy and delight in and be refreshed by Sabbath. He's going to teach us the water pours from a rock whenever the words are sung or the words are spoken to it of the kingdom. He's going to teach us about our table is always going to be prepared in the presence of our enemies. If we think we can ever avoid our enemies or have them taken out, they cannot. The enemies are part of our mission and are part of our learning curve. He's going to teach us the power of uplifted hands, and that's what's going to happen at the battle with the Baal of Amalek, when Moshe's hands are lifted up, and we learn how to keep those hands uplifted. The hands hold the rod, and then learn matters of covenantal remembrance, what is important and what is not. Wow. Well, there's so much we could talk about, so much we could learn. I want to kind of go on into the bones of Yosef. All this stuff is going to be done. Everything we're going to learn is going to be part of carrying the bones of Yosef, of becoming the life force of Yosef, of becoming the frame on which a new Yosef, the son, Yosef means another son, another one, harvest, one to come. And so the idea of the Yosef that we carry in his bones is to become the life force that dwells within us and becomes the frame and the form and the nature, the example of our new nation status, of our kingdom counterculture movement. Well, what happened then? We have the Sea of Reeds. We have so many different things along the way, and I don't have time to talk to you about all of them, but I want to talk to you about what happened at the Sea of Reeds. Obviously, we had to face our greatest fear. What was our greatest fear? Pharaoh and his chariots would come after us. They will come after us. Yes, there will be another attempted Holocaust. Yes, that's what we face in life. But here's the deal. Will we trust the Holy One or not? The words of Moshe were, Al tira'u, do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. Lo tira'u, or al tira'u, do not fear. I speak that into your heart, your spirit. Fear not. Do not fear. Do not let fear control you. The next thing he says is, Hit yatsavu, and you must stand waiting to serve. You must stand. Take your stand waiting to serve. Uru et Yeshuat Adonai, and behold Adonai's Yeshua, his salvation, his deliverance, his redemption. Await it, stand, and see it with your eyes. Envision it. Envision his salvation before you face the enemy. Next he said, Adonai yilachem lechem. They are bread for him. They are bread. We see them and they seem so huge. The enemy, the adversary, seems so powerful and so vicious and so much in control. And Adonai will remind you through his prophet, they are bread for him. Not for you perhaps, but for him. And the fifth of the things he would say is Va'atem Tacharishun. You are to dig in, to dig deep. You are to pursue, seek first righteousness and justice. Seek first the way of the kingdom, and then all these other things will be taken care of. Song. Finally, whenever the sea is parted, and we walk through, and not the slightest of our youngest child who loves to jump in puddles, his sandal is even wet. We walk through dry shod, and then we see the waters close and take care of the enemy that was out for our genocide and for our Holocaust, and they're no more to bother us. When we see that, then something will happen. Heaven will touch earth. We will have an awe and an awareness, and then the melody and the rhythm will come. It won't be something some human being sat and wrote down with pencil and paper or scroll and stylus. This will be words from heaven, melody from heaven, releasing down upon humankind and awakening and resonating and beginning to burst back forth, giving back to the Holy One. That's what will happen. The song will burst forth. This will be our song. This will be the song we are to sing. The key is to hold on to that song and not get distracted by the songs that the world sings. Not be distracted by the songs of our own flesh. Our flesh will want to sing things like, were there not enough graves in Egypt that you had to bring us out here to die in the desert? That will be our flesh's song. Our flesh's song will be, oh, why do you hate us? Why did you want to kill us? Oh, but our spirit will say, no, wait a minute. Ashira ladonai ki gahoga. I will sing unto the Holy One, for he has exalted himself exponentially. Well, hold on to that song, beloved. Hold on to his cry. Hold on to that melody, that rhythm. As we go through the trials and the tribulations of the desert, as we prepare ourselves, be prepared by the song of the Holy One. Let it resonate in you. Shabbat Shalom. See you next week.